the court of common sense and compassion. The atmosphere inside the courtroom was charged with a unique energy that could only be described as a blend of Southern hospitality and metropolitan grit. Above the bench, a nameplate stood out in polished letters, catching the light and commanding respect for the woman seated behind it. It read Judge Ebony K. Rose. For everyone stepping into the space, that name represented the ultimate authority on how justice would be perceived and administered. Judge Rose often reminded those before her that she was a woman shaped by diverse roots, hailing from North Carolina by way of Louisiana, carrying a sense of West Coast cool balanced perfectly with a sharp New York edge. On this particular day, the judge looked down at the individuals gathered in front of her. She noticed a woman who seemed uneasy and asked if there was a problem. The woman quickly replied that there was no problem at all. Judge Rose then spoke about the essence of her courtroom. She explained that equal justice was rooted in the most significant values of the country, such as freedom and integrity. These were the standards she strived for every single day. She looked at the woman again and firmly stated that while a person might run their own household, a man or another individual had the right to run theirs as well. Judge Rose had decided to become an attorney and pursue the law because she wanted to be a voice for those who were often left unheard. She believed in holding people accountable, but only when the law supported it. Her courtroom welcomed people from every sector of life, regardless of their background or identity, because that was the true meaning of equal justice. The case on the docket involved 3 young women. Jenny Sim, the plaintiff, claimed she had been injured after the sister of her roommate shoved her during a heated argument. On the other side stood the defendants, Melissa Smith and her sister, Carrie Smith. The sisters argued that Jenny was only pushed away after she had damaged the phone belonging to Carrie. The Smiths had filed a counterclaim for the amount of $251.28. Judge Rose opened the proceedings by acknowledging everyone present. She noted that Ms. Sim was suing for $430, while the defendants were seeking their counterclaim amount. The judge turned her attention to Jenny Sim and asked her to explain why they were in court. Jenny began her story by explaining that the $430 represented medical bills from an emergency room visit. She had been living with Melissa for some time, and eventually, Carrie moved in as well. One night, a confrontation occurred. Jenny alleged that Melissa and she were arguing when Carrie stepped in and pushed her. This fall resulted in a sprained wrist. When the judge asked why Carrie had stepped in, Jenny admitted she did not know the reason. The judge sought to understand the history between the women. Jenny explained that she and Melissa met in college through mutual friends. They were part of the same social circle and decided to become roommates after graduation. At first, it seemed like a compatible arrangement. Melissa paid her bills on time, which the judge noted was the most important quality in a roommate. They lived together harmoniously for 1 year. However, the dynamic changed when Carrie moved into the spare room of their 3-bedroom apartment. Initially, it was meant to be a temporary arrangement to help Carrie while she was between jobs. Jenny had agreed to let her stay for free, expecting it to last perhaps 1 month. Instead, 3 months passed without Carrie finding work or contributing to the rent. This presence disrupted the harmony of the home. Jenny felt she was carrying the burden of household responsibilities, specifically the cleaning. While she had been okay with cleaning up after Melissa, the addition of a third person made the mess unbearable. The breaking point arrived on the 1st of August. Melissa and Carrie had spent the night having a sister night, filled with wine, snacks, and movies. Jenny had been out and returned at 8 o'clock in the morning to find the living room in complete disarray. Having reached her limit, Jenny confessed that she popped off. When the judge pressed for a clearer definition, Jenny admitted she had yelled and used harsh language toward Melissa. The argument escalated in the living room. Carrie, who had been sleeping, was awakened by the shouting and cursing. She rushed out to defend her sister. According to Jenny, Carrie got right in the middle of the dispute and pushed her to the ground. Jenny submitted her medical receipts to the bailiff. The record showed charges for general procedures, x-rays, and non-surgical treatments. Although insurance had covered some costs, Jenny was still responsible for $430. She admitted the bill was currently in collections, and she was hoping the court would help her settle it. Judge Rose then turned to Melissa Smith to hear the other side of the story. Melissa confirmed they were college friends who moved in together to save money. She expressed that she had been excited to have her sister stay with them and had even invited Jenny to join their sister nights, though Jenny declined. Melissa explained that on the night in question, they had simply been tired and decided to leave the cleaning for the morning. She was startled when Jenny stormed in and started yelling aggressively. Carrie added her perspective, stating she woke up to terrible screaming. She felt her sister was in peril and stepped in to defuse the situation. Carrie claimed that Jenny was waving her arms expressively and suddenly smacked Carrie's phone out of her hand. The phone hit the floor and the screen shattered. Carrie explained that her act of pushing Jenny was a simultaneous reaction to her phone being damaged and an attempt to create space. She suggested Jenny fell because she was off balance near a coffee table, not because of an aggressive shove. Carrie presented a receipt for the phone repair, which totaled $251.28. Unlike Jenny's medical bill, Carrie had already paid for the repair and was seeking reimbursement. Judge Rose listened carefully as the women debated whether the contact was an assault or a defense. Jenny maintained that she was simply trying to get Carrie out of her face and did not intend to hit the phone. Carrie insisted that Jenny had been acutely aware of the phone and had intentionally struck it. After hearing all the testimony, Judge Rose was ready to deliver her verdict. She addressed the group with the wisdom of a seasoned legal professional. She spoke to Jenny first, noting that when a person enters a roommate agreement, they must abide by the terms. Since the word temporary had never been strictly defined in their agreement, the court did not find a 3-month stay to be legally excessive. Turning to Carrie, the judge explained that Carrie had voluntarily inserted herself into a heated altercation. By bringing her cell phone into a volatile situation, she had placed her property in the line of fire. Therefore, the court would not hold Jenny responsible for the damaged phone. The counterclaim was dismissed. Finally, the judge addressed Jenny's claim for medical expenses. Judge Rose concluded that Jenny had invited a certain level of conflict by popping off and escalating the verbal argument. A person cannot always control the reaction of others when they initiate a confrontation. While the judge expressed sympathy for the injury, she ruled that the financial burden of the $430 belonged to Jenny. With both cases dismissed, the legal matter was concluded. As the women prepared to leave, Jenny offered one final remark, mentioning that she had since gotten a cat. But I remarked that even the cat, despite leaving litter everywhere, was cleaner than her former roommates. Melissa and Carrie simply wished her well as they exited the courtroom. Judge Rose watched them go, having delivered a lesson in accountability and the complexities of human relationships. This concluded the proceedings in the pursuit of equal justice.